German tragedy, August 1942. My German friends, when I last spoke to you, I interpreted the present world situation as world tragedy. Today, I want to apply these thoughts to the situation in Germany. There are three groups of people in Germany. Some still believe in victory and want to see nothing tragic. Another group sees that destruction has begun and thinks nothing remains but to wait for the end. The third group to whom I speak today are those who see the tragic disaster and yet can look beyond it. The air raids on the German cities have brought the horror of the war closer to individual Germans. It is not only human lives that are being devoured by the fire that rains from heaven, but also the places in which human culture has unfolded for 400 years. So it was in England, so it is in Russia, and so it now is in Germany. We don't know what will remain of the world in which we have lived. When we heard of the downfall of the great ancient empires of Babylon and Carthage and Jerusalem, we did not think that our cities could ever be struck by a similar fate. And when we read of the 4 horsemen who, according to the book of Revelation, would ride along over the world, war, hunger, fire, pestilence, we took that for poetry. Now it has become a reality. The 4 horsemen of destruction are raging throughout Europe, and fire is raining from heaven in ever-fresh streams. It would be wrong to offer moral invective in relation to this enormous event. It goes beyond all our understanding. It is tragedy, real tragedy, that we are experiencing. Before it could come to this physical destruction, the spiritual center and the spirit creativity of Europe had become lost. A world had lost its focal point and its meaning when the period of the World War began. We are surprised to learn that many leading people in the democratic countries know that this is not about Germany or England, but about a world catastrophe. They sense the tragedy that it was their own wrong policy after the First World War that made the creation of National Socialist rule possible. They want to overcome tragedy. Such people are your allies even when they are waging war against Hitler's Germany. How is it going with such people inside Germany? Everyone who hears this question should give answer inside yourself. And the answer should not be, perhaps we will still be victorious. All such answers are deceitful. People don't risk looking tragedy in the eye. But you must do so, because it is only on the other side of tragedy that genuine hope appears. It is only through the night of the self-destruction of one world that the path to a new world proceeds. Permit me to illuminate the side of the German tragedy that is perhaps the most difficult to look in the eye. Since ancient times, people have known that there are instruments of providence that through the evil they do clear the path for the good that follows according to the biblical story. Judas himself was an instrument through which the salvation of the world was realized. But the sorrow over him was not eased as a result. The Christian nations called Attila the scourge of God, but that did not keep them from fighting against him until he had fallen. In the same way, National Socialism is the scourge of a world that had lost its life meaning, and the instrument of a providence that will bring something new. But that changes nothing in terms of its guilt, and the necessity of fighting until its downfall. When it has accomplished the work of tragic destruction, the destroying tragedy will turn against it and drag it into the abyss. The double tragedy for Germany is that it surrendered itself to this scourge half willingly, half unwillingly, and became its instrument. This is the twofold guilt and the twofold tragedy of the Germans. They allowed themselves to be transformed into the instrument of the Spirit and the power through which a world is being destroyed, a world that was ripe for it. But the pain over this power and its instrument The German people will continue to last, and this pain will be fulfilled step by step. And just beyond this pain stands the hope that exists, especially for the German people.